Welcome to the Truth Zone. I'm your host, D Truth. Well, it's part three of it. Part three of the past. And you know what? There's a lot of misconceptions of what is going on with the past. And there's several myths about the history of melanated black people in America. And we're going to explore that right now. I'm going to explore that, okay? The sixth myth about the history of black people in America. This came from six historians weigh in on the biggest misconception about black history, including the Tuskegee experiment and enslaved people finances. Respect Diamond Shuri, respect Carter, respect Melanie Johnson, respect to all of y'all that come in. See, we finna talk about this. First, let's get this out the way right here. To study American his story is often an exercise in learning partial truth and patriotic fable. Textbook and curricula throughout the country continue to center the white experience with black people, often quarantined to a short section about slavery and quotes by Martin Luther King Jr. Many walk away from their high school history and through the world with several lack of understanding of the history and perspective of black people in America. That is so true, and isn't that so true? That is so true right there. See, last summer the New York Times 1619 project burst open a long overdue conversation about how stories of black Americans need to be told through the lens of black Americans themselves. In this tradition and in celebration of Black History Month, which is in February, which I think Black History Month should be celebrated all the time, year round, every day of the week, as per se. Excuse me about the wind blowing out here. I'm outside. Okay. This is as six black scholars and historian about myth that perpetuated about black history. Ultimately, understanding black history is more than learning about the brutality and oppression black people have endured. It's about the ways they have fought to survive and thrive in America. Myth number one. Myth number one. Myth number one. Enslaved people were money. Were money. They buy this in labor were the capital that fueled the country's founding and wealth. But many also had money. Enslaved people actively participated in the informal and formal market economy. They saved money earned from overwork, from hiring themselves out, and through independent economic activities with banks, local merchants, and their enslavers. Elizabeth, a skilled seamster whose dresses for Abraham Lincoln's wife are displayed in Smithsonian Museum, supported her enslavers entire family and still earned enough to pay for her freedom. See, free and enslaved market women dominate local marketplace, including in Savannah and Charleston, controlling network that cross crisscross the countryside. They ensure fresh supplies of fruit, vegetable, eggs for the market, as well as a steady flow of cash to enslaved people. Whites describe these women as loose and disorderly, to, to criticize their action as unacceptable behavior for women. But white people of all classes depend on them for survival. You see how they, you see how they did that, our queens, right? Said their behavior, their behavior was loose and disorderly, but they depended on them for their survival. They depended on them for their survival. Hmm. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. See, I'm gonna do the first three. Now, then later tonight, I'm gonna do the next three myths later on tonight. So they depended on them. In fact, enslaved people also created financial institutions, special mutual aid society. Eliza Allen helped from form at least three secret societies for women on her own and nearby plantation in Petersburg, Virginia. One of her societies, Sisters of Youthfulness, could have had as many as 2 to 3 dozen members. Citizens, cities like Baltimore even passed law against these societies, a sign of their opportunity, a sure sign of their popularity. Other cities reluctantly tolerated them, requiring that a white person to be present at meetings. Enslaved people, however, found creative ways to conduct their societies under white people's nose. Often the treasurer ledger listed member by number so that in case of discovery, members' identity remain protected. See, we smart. Melanated people, kings and queens, we are smart people. We are smart people. They use numbers to disguise the members so the members won't get in trouble or anything to come to them. See, that's the thing. Okay. And which they could remain protected. During the tournament of the Civil War, hundreds of thousands of black people sought refuge behind Union line. Most were impoverished, but a few managed to bring with them wealth they had stashed under beds, in private chests, and other hiding places. After the war, black people fought through the Southern Claim Commission. Respect, John Long. Southern Claim Commission for the return of the wealth Union, and Confederate soldiers impounded or outright stole. Outright stole. Believe that. They outright stole it, so they had to hide their money. They somehow had money to help buy their freedom, but they had to hide it under a different thing. And the Southern Claim Commission, they had to go fight to get their wealth back. Because the wealth union and the Confederate soldier impounded or outright stole it. See, they stealing stuff from our people back then. Given the resurgence of attention on reparation for slavery and the racial wealth gap, it is important to recall the long history of black people engagement with the U.S. economy, not just as property, but as savers, spenders, and small business people. And we got to get back. We got to get back to that today. See, we spend a whole lot. We're the bulk of this economy in this country called United States of America. But guess what? We're not getting paid. We're not getting paid what we are worth, which we are worth a whole lot more in this country. See, and we got to start. Somebody got to start saving to do like our ancestors did, and start saving money so we can get where we want to go and get our own business. See, we can start a small business to help other people start their small business. That's what it's saying. And myth number two, that black revolutionary soldiers were patriots. That's myth number two. Who thinks that? Who thinks that black revolutionary soldiers were patriots? Much is made about how colony black Americans, some free, some enslaved, fought during the American Revolution. Black revolutionary soldiers are usually called black patriots, but the term patriot is reserved within revolutionary discourse to refer to the men of the 13 colonies who believe in the idea expressed in the Declaration of Independence that America should be an independent country free from Britain. The, these persons were willing to fight for this cause, join the Continental Army, and for their sacrifice are forever considered patriot. That's why the term black patriot is a myth. It is it infers that black and white revolutionary soldiers fought for the same reason. Okay, let's keep going. First off, black revolutionary soldiers did not fight out of love for a country that enslaved and oppressed them. They did not. They did not fight for that. See, we fighting for a country that don't love us. If they did, they would change some of these laws and stuff and stop and give us reparation. We won't have to go through the stuff we're going through today. Black revolutionary soldiers were fighting for freedom, not for America, but for themselves and the race as a whole. In fact, the American Revolution is a case study of interest continues to note that within racial states such as the 13 colony, any progress made for black people can only be made if that progress also benefits the dominant culture. Which dominant culture was it? It's the white people back then. That was the dominant culture. In this case, the liberation of the white colonists of America. In other words, colonists' enlistment of black people was not out of some moral mandate, but based on manpower needs to win the war. See, we got to learn that. And guess what? Some of us as melanated kings and queens, you think some of these business owners care about us? No, they don't. They don't care about us. This is what we can give them that make them care about us. What we can do for them. And that's a whole lot of us melanated people out here. What can a person do for me instead of what can I do to help progress our society, our culture, our community? That's what we need to start thinking. How can I help progress my community and uplift my community? In 1775, Lord Dumar, the royal governor of Virginia, who wanted to quickly end the war, issued a proclamation of free enslaved black people if they defeated from the colony. Excuse me, my bad. Free enslaved black people if they defected from the colony and fought for the British Army. In response, George Washington revised the policy that restricted black persons free or enslaved from joining the Continental Army. His reversals were based on a convergence of his interests, competing with a growing British military, securing the slave economy, and increasing labor needs for the Continental Army. When enslaved persons left the plantation, this caused serious social and economic unrest in the colonies. These defections were encouragement for many white plantation owners to join the patriotic cause, even they previously held reservation. Respect Queen Gertrude East. Respect. See, the British want them to defect from the colony, want the black people to defect for the colony to help fight against them. And George Washington reversed it, saying, think about it. Because without the labor problem, without the labor in the South back then, what could the plantation owners, the slave owners, could gain from it? There's nothing they could gain from it. They would lose property, they would lose money, and that's all they were thinking about. See, that's the big whole ordeal of the whole situation. And if you can't use nobody, what good are they? If you got a business and your employees start leaving and you're the only one there, how can your business thrive? How can you? Thank you to Queen Gertrude East. Thank you. How can a business thrive when you don't have nobody in there working for you? See, you got to treat your employee right. This goes on today where we see these big companies using children as young as 14, 13, 15 in these car plants, working overnight, that are young, strong, but they cannot have the machines like a grown up can. And the grown up has sacrificed a whole lot. When a mother got kids and she on her own, she sacrificed so much, and she's stuck in a at a place that she worked and she don't like it. But guess what? She got to stay there because guess what? She got to provide for her children. A man at a job that he don't like, he got to stay there to try to provide for his family. Especially got a wife and kids. Especially if you got a girlfriend, they living together. They got to provide for their family to survive. If they don't survive, what what going to happen to them out on the street? Then guess what? People that got a job walk over them, not looking at them. See, we are smart people. We are very smart people. We are smart. Our community is smart, is full of smart people, but we got to use our brain, our mind in a different way than we're using it now. See, that's what I was talking about. Let's keep going. Let's keep reading now. Let's keep reading. Washington also saw other benefits in black enlistment. White revolutionary soldiers only fought in 3 to 4 month increments and returned to their farms or plantation, but many black soldiers could serve longer term. The need for black soldiers was essential for the war effort, and the need to win the war became greater than racial or racist ideology. Respect E. James. See, this is what we got to learn. See, we as melanated kings and queens, it's not just essential that they need us, that they want us, that they needed us. And right now, just think is if we combine our social, our economic, our minds together, what power we could be in this country. Just think is more business owners, black business owners, to help other people get their own business. Just think how powerful we could be as a community, as one. See, we got the buying power. We got the power. Without us, this country would not exist. Without the melanated people of the past, this country would not exist. They could not go forward without us. And it shows you right there. I'm reading it to you right now. So, interests converge with those of black revolutionary soldiers as well. Once the American colony promised freedom, about a quarter of the continental army became black before that. More black people defected to the British military for a chance to be free. Black revolutionary soldiers understood the stakes of the war and realized that they could also benefit and leave bondage. As historian Gary Nash has said, the black revolutionary soldier can best be understood by realizing that his major loyalty was not to a place, not to a people, but to a principle. See, you got to have principle. And that's still true today. If you don't have principle, you don't have moral, what good are you? See, you stay loyal to a place. You can and you stay loyal to a person, to people. But if you don't have principle, what good is that loyalty to that place? What good is loyalty to them people gonna get you? You gotta have principle. You gotta have morals. And some of us, as melanated Kings and queen, king and queen. We do not have morals. We don't have morals at all. We don't have morals at all. Cause we have morals and principle. Some of us would be doing the things that we do. Principle is a whole different thing. Principle is the thing that we do that we use to control ourselves. See, we gotta love ourselves. That's where the principle of morals comes in. That's where the principle of moral comes in. That's why we can learn from the past. That way we can learn from the past. If we don't learn from the past, guess what? What are we to ourselves? Okay, the principle is always the principality of things in life. What would you do? What do you think if somebody do something to you and you go do it to the other person? What your moral principle at? Because you don't want it done to you, why should you do it to somebody else? That's the principle. If you don't want it done to your family, why you go do it to somebody else's family? You don't want it to your child, why you go to do it to another somebody else's child? That's the principle. Black people play a dual role: service with the American force and fleeing to the British, both for freedom. Both for freedom. The notion of black patriots is a misused term in many ways. While the majority of the whites were fighting in the American Revolution, black revolutionary soldiers were fighting the African American Revolution. See, that's we were fighting. We are fighters. We always been fighters. But we gotta get back to morality and the principle thing. What we are going to be fighting for. What we're going to be fighting for. What we're going to fight for. What we're going to be fighting for these days. What are you fighting for? See, we got to learn from our past so we get to the present, get to the present, and get to the advance in the future. Got to learn from the past. See, like myth number one, money. We had money back then. We knew how to save money. We know how to we knew how to hide money. And that's a pretty big thing right there. All right, myth number three, that black men were injected with syphilis in the Tuskegee experiment. Listen to this. This the last myth I'm gonna do for today. It's the last myth I'm gonna do for today, right? A dangerous myth that continues to hunt black Americans is the belief that the government infected 600 black men in Macon County, Alabama, with syphilis. This myth has created generational African Americans with a healthy distrust of the American medical profession. These men weren't injected with syphilis. Their story does eliminate an important truth. America's medical past is steeped in racialized terror and the exploitation of black bodies. The, the Tuskegee study of untreated syphilis in Negro male emerged from a study group formed in 1932, connected with the Venereal Disease section of the U.S. Public Health Service. The purpose of the experiment was to test the impact of syphilis untreated and was conducted at what is now Tuskegee University, a historically black university in Macon County, Alabama. See, that's another myth. Let's go and get that out the way. See, and you're gonna see where I'm going with it. You're gonna see where I'm going with it. You're gonna see where I'm going with it. Uh-oh. So hope it ain't going nowhere. You're gonna see where I'm going with it. Respect Shannon Williams. Respect. You're right. They can have more integrity. Got that demonstrate you got to have integrity along with the more along with the principle. Them threes you got to have. And another thing you got to have with all three of them, you gotta have your self-love with that. Gotta have that self-love with that. Let me finish reading this right here. 600 black men in the experiment were not given syphilis. Instead, 390 men already had stages of the disease, and 201 who did not serve as a control group. Both groups were withheld from treatment or any kind for the 40 years they was observed. 40 years these men were observed. 40 years. 40 years. The men were subject to humiliating and often painfully invincible tests and experiments, including spinal tap. Respect platypus. Being uneducated and impoverished sharecroppers, these men were lured by free medical examination, hot meal, free treatment for minor injury, rides to and from the hospital, and guaranteed burial stipend up to $50 to be paid to their survivors. Hmm. That's a lot there, ain't it? That's a lot right there. That was a lot. But what got me in that right there, how they got these men to come do it. How they got these men to come and do this sort of a test and evaluation stuff like that by saying hot meal, free medical examination, free treatment for minor injury, rides to and from the hospital, and guaranteed burial to be paid to their survivors. $50. $50 back then was a lot of money, but the $50 a day is not. But you gotta take a look at it what they had to go through. They were such too humiliating and often painfully in verses, tests, and experiments, including spinal taps. Would you go through something like that for the better good of health? No, I wouldn't go through that. No. Okay. The study also did not occur in total secret, as several African American health workers and educated associated with the Tuskegee Institute assisted in the study. Some of our own people assisted in the studies. Assisted in the studies. How heartbreaking. But I guess they're just like us today. If it's not happening to us, it ain't happening to me. Well, oh well. It's not hurting me. But in the long run, in the big picture, it do hurt you. By the end of this study, in the summer of 1972, think about it. This study started in 1932. 40 years. After a whistleblower exposed the story in the national headline, only 74 of these test subjects were still alive from the original 399 infected men. Just think about it. 74 was dead. That's mean 325 died. From the original 309 infected, 28 had died of syphilis, and 100 others from related complications. 40 other men's wives had been infected, and an estimated 19 of their children were born with congenital syphilis. As a result of the case, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services established the Office of Human Research Protection in 1974 to oversee clinical trial. The case also solidified the idea of African American being cast and used as American guinea pig, which they was used as guinea pigs. as guinea pigs. You might well say that's all they were used for, guinea pigs. A whole bunch of them died. On the sudden, some survived. Children died. Wives died. And the unfortunate side effect of both the truth of medical racism and the myth of syphilis injection, however, is it tangible reinforces the inability to place trust in the medical system for some African Americans who may not choose to seek out assistance as a result, put themselves in danger. How many people out there actually really trust the medical profession? That's why some of us don't go to the hospital. That's why some of us don't go to the doctor, which we need to go see what's wrong with us, which we need to help ourselves to get better and stay healthy. That means eating right, exercising. See, there are three myths I just read this afternoon. I'm gonna read the other three tonight. So we as people, we can learn from our past that we can survive. We are smart. We can survive. We fight for what we want. But we gotta have moral integrity and principle, and we gotta love ourselves to keep fighting. And we learn something else. That's why we don't trust. That's why so many melanated kings and queens do not trust going to the hospital. They trust going to the doctor. Don't trust going to get a checkup because of that medical trial that they did back in 1932 to 1972. See, we learn from the past. It would come to the future. It come to the present. But like I said, you got to fight for what you want. We in a society today that says when somebody says you can't, you can. Put your mind to it. Put your heart to it. You got to change your way of thinking. If you don't change your way of thinking, you're still gonna be living in the past. And you never learn from the past. You got to inspire yourself, inspire each other. We got to inspire each other. We got to grab hold of each other. Say, yes, we can. We can. We can help each other. We can do everything else with each other. But one thing we got to stop doing, we got to stop killing each other, backstabbing each other. We got to come together one. Because guess what? That's what they did back in the day. They came together one to help fight for their freedom. And we still enslaved today. Respect, yeah, respect. We got to fight for our freedom because we still enslaved today. We're enslaved in our mind. We got to take those shackles off. We got to stop worrying about this person right here. We got to work together. It's like I've been saying, we as a community, I'm talking about all the states where melanated people are. We as a community, we are just like a hand, four fingers and a thumb. We are not together. Boy, when you ball your hand up to a fist, they come together. Oh, how mighty we would be! How more mighty we will be! Look what we've been through. Look what our ancestors been through to get us here. I don't care what kind of melanated, where you from, melanated, my kings and queens. I don't care where you're from or where you're going, but there's some melanated people back there. Yeah, they did have slaves. They did sell them, trade. Yeah, they did. But there's some that was out there fighting for our freedom. They were fighting for our freedom for the rights that we got right now, when some of our rights are still being taken, which they don't want us to tell the truth that I'm telling today, that I'm gonna continue to tell. See, I'm bringing the past and bringing it to the future. I think some of us, they think some of us are not smart. They think some of us is dumb. They think some of us don't have no sense. Think some of us are game bangers. Think us are thieves, robbers, murders, killers, child molesters, everything else in the book. But I know majority of us are not. And we gotta work. We gotta work together, people, family. We gotta work together. Like I said, when we start working together, loving each other, oh how mighty, how great that would be when that happens. How mighty would that be happen? But you gotta have principle, integrity, loyalty, and you gotta love yourself for that to happen. We got to do it. We got to find a remedy. We got to pass this word along that we are powerful people. We are smart people. Some of us don't look go by the looks of how people body and faces that look. Yeah, that's all good and grand, but we are special people. We are special. This country would be nowhere near what it is today without our ancestors doing what they did back then, going through what they went through back then, which we going through still right now, but in our mind. So we got to stand up for what's right, for the principle, for the moral, for the love of ourselves. Let's become that mighty fist that they don't want us to become. Let's give it. Let's give it a chance. Let's try love for our fellow man in our community, our melanated kings and queens. Love gonna win out. And let's don't get suckered into all this government BS they trying to sell us. Let's teach our kids what really went on in the past. Let's teach our kids what they need to know, the real story of the melanated people, kings and queens of the past. We are kings and queens. Now we just gotta start acting like it, thinking like it, thinking like a king and queen. Let her inspire each other. People don't have to know what you do for your community. They don't have to know. Let us stop turning our nose up at each other out here in the real world. Because that's what our ancestors didn't do, turn their nose at each other. They helped each other. Let's help each other. For final words, like I said, part 4 of the past and part 2 of this is gonna be part 4 of the past and part 2 of the 6th myth. I've just stopped it. It's gonna be the last 3 of the myth of black people in America, melanated people in America. It's gonna be the last 3. It will be coming to you tonight. I love you. And peace and love to everybody. Peace and love to everybody. And I'm about to get out of here. And thank you for joining me. Peace.
You can find me
Let's sit out. Shout out to E. James, Cover Charles Bay, Armando Black TV, Mother Boy Trey, Wax AP, Mac Me, Nate Dog, Nate the Great, The Word, Low Dollars Network. Shout out to the whole Nile River, Twin East Nation, State Gang.